Hey guys, how's it going? There are a lot of people that are just so desperate to find the doctrine of the Trinity in the Old Testament that they have come to actually reading this post-biblical doctrine back into the text. And one of the texts that gets abused the most is Genesis chapters 18 through 19. Now, when you read this passage, I think there's a better explanation than to say that the writer of Genesis 18 through 19 is an implicit Trinitarian. I think the best answer is actually to read this passage in light of the Jewish principle of agency, to where the agent fully represents the one who sent him. So how does this work? Well, in chapter 18, verse 1, it says that Yahweh appeared before Abraham. The very next verse, chapter 18, verse 2, it says that 3 men appeared before Abraham. Well, what's actually going on here? Chapter 18, verse 21, Yahweh says, I, first person, I'm going to go down and I'm going to see what's going on at Sodom. Very next verse, it says that the 3 men actually went down to Sodom. These men are described as angels in chapter 19, verse 1, and in chapter 19, verse 15. They are called messengers, ha-melakim in Hebrew. They are the messengers. So what's actually going on here? Well, we have Yahweh is actually being represented by his agents. These agents, these angels, these heavenly messengers, they look like human beings, as angels typically do whenever they appear before people in the Old and in the New Testament. But nobody actually is going to confuse the messenger for the one who commissioned the messenger. That would be to fundamentally misunderstand the basic, most fundamental concept of the Jewish principle of agency, which the writers of the Old Testament presume. It is actually taught in the Old Testament. It's also taught in the New Testament. It was taught by Jesus himself, and it was presupposed in a wider variety of Jewish literature, that the sender is fully going to be represented by his agent. The agent is the one that actually is going to bear all of the roles and responsibilities of the one who sent him. And so these angels, these messengers, and that's actually what a messenger is, a messenger is someone who actually represents fully the one who sent him, is actually called Yahweh. And that's how this can actually happen. That's how Yahweh can appear, and that's how the messengers can actually appear, and there's no confusion. And I think this is clearly understood by the Jewish principle of agency. Now, what do you do in the last verse, in chapter 19, verse 24, where Yahweh rained down fire and brimstone from Yahweh? Does this mean that there's 2 Yahwehs? No, I don't think so. Because if you look in 1 Kings chapter 8, verse 1, you have Solomon gathering all the people to come before Solomon. There aren't 2 Solomons, just it's a way of describing how the person who's in charge can gather all the people in an authoritative way. So there aren't 2 Yahwehs, there aren't 3 persons in the divine Godhead. This is just Yahweh sending forth his agents in the Jewish principle of agency. Don't forget to subscribe.